Next, much more on Liverpool. Don't forget to vote in our poll on X. Where will Liverpool finish in the Premier League? Get your views in as well. Use the QR code on the side of your screen. Liverpool's dismal run continues. Can Arne Slot stop the slide? And where will the champions finish this season? Welcome back to Sky Sports FC. 1 hour down, one more to go, and still lots to get into. Our guest Tim Sherwood. Tim, we're about to get the views of two Liverpool fans. Despite the form, they are 3 points off the top four, which isn't too bad. Is there any reason to panic?
For the top four, no.
For the title?
Yes.
Okay. We mentioned it a moment ago. Liverpool have slipped into the bottom half of the Premier League table after losing to Nottingham Forest. Well, last night Arne Slot was honoured at the Football Writers Association North Managers Awards in recognition for leading Liverpool to the Premier League title. Slot wasn't at the ceremony, but club ambassador Gary McAllister picked up the award on his behalf and said he's been surprised by the club's form this season.
I'm sure Arne's obviously very proud and honoured to be given this prestigious award. So it's nice. It's a shame he can't make it. So it's just nice for me to come and accept it on his behalf. Listen, it's very difficult to understand why it's gone so wrong. It's a difficult time. It's territory that the club and Arne's not been in. It's not familiar to them. I thought the 4 or 5 signings that they made in pre-season, a lot of hard work done in the recruitment side, I thought they were outstanding signings, but we're 12 games in and it hasn't quite gelled yet.
A blip is 1 or 2 games at a club like Liverpool, Arsenal, United and City when you lose 1 or 2 games. When you lose 3 or 4, you have to do something. You have to do something collectively and you have to do something individually. You have to recognise the danger that's presenting itself and nip it in the bud. It's the thin end of the wedge. You can't lose 6 games in 7 if you're Liverpool Football Club, who are the title winners and champions. You can't do that. It's unacceptable. I'm not going to use the word crisis, because crisis suggests that we're talking about managers and players being thrown out of the club. But I'm not at that stage by any stretch of the imagination. There's no way that Arne Slot should be in danger of losing his job.
Sky Sports have partnered with Finalysis, an app where passionate fans share their opinions on their club. If you want to represent your club, scan the QR code here or visit the Sky Sports app for more details. We can speak to 2 Liverpool fans now with opposing views on Slot, John Gibbons and Sarah Luca. Right, John, I know that you're very much backing your manager. Sarah, I'm told that you're not so sure. Why are you not so sure?
So, yeah, it is doubts. It's kind of 50-50, but also worried. I'm worried about mentality. I'm worried about the body language. I'm worried about Alisson after the 3rd goal going in, saying mindset and shouting at the players. I'm worried that in Slot we might not have what we massively had in Klopp, where he had one mission, one vision, and he engaged the players behind that, and they knew what they were doing. The lack of solution is what I'm worried about.
John, so far this season for Liverpool in the league, it hasn't worked, okay, but we are still early enough. Why do you trust Slot to turn it around?
I think there's so much happened at the club over the last sort of 6 months that I think it's hard to pin it on one thing. There was a complete squad overhaul that he was obviously involved with, but the people who will be deciding who the manager is were involved in as well. That the squads ended up looking a bit sort of lopsided, and he's trying to make that work. And they look like a little bit like the heart's been ripped out of the team, but how much of that is what happened to the friend in the summer? And so I think it's a really tough thing to analyse. Normally as football fans, you just kind of look at it and think, oh, we need a new manager, we need a new this. And at the moment, it's just so hard. And so I just won't be making any rash decisions at the moment. I understand where Sarah's at, because you're watching it and it's really tough as a fan to see your teams not compete. And that's what Sarah's talking about there, really. It's not, quality. It's not the idea of, people not being good enough. They're just not competing well enough. But trying to put your finger on why that is at the moment is really hard. And so I think we've got to pull together. I think we've got to back the manager who won the league last season and he's done incredibly well, and just try and get it through it together, really, and show a little bit more of that spirit that Liverpool is famous for, and come through it together.
Guys, and I want to be trying harder than Arne Slot to put this right. I guarantee you that. You know, he won't know. You talk about it there, John, trying to put your finger on it. He will be trying to put his finger on it every single minute of every day. He will take it home. When you're a manager, you don't just go training, go home, forget about football. When you're in the match day, his whole weekend would have been ruined, as yours is when you don't get a result. But he will be trying harder than anyone to try and put his finger on it. He's got the tools to work with. You've got the players. They've done it before. You've got new players you need to integrate. I don't think it's time for the panic. You will not win the league this season. That is not going to happen because Arsenal are so strong and Man City are stronger than you at the moment. But I think you can win a trophy. I just think there's a cloud come over Liverpool. No one thought it would be, this season. Everyone, when you made them signings, saw you might as well just give them the trophy now. They're going to dominate for years to come. It's a blip. It's more than a blip. It's not panic. It's not a crisis. It's not a crisis.
You are behind Slot, and I think the Liverpool fans that we hear from on this show tend to be behind Arne Slot. But you've got to think of it from the board's point of view. He was given a lot of money to spend. I know you made some as well, and that will add extra pressure. Liverpool spent that money to stay at the top. Now they're not even in the top half. So whether the fans think there's pressure on him or not, from the board, you'd imagine there is, because Slot's been given what he wants. He's been given the tools.
Yeah, I think that is fair. Listen, there's pressure being a Liverpool manager anyway, and when you spend all that money, there's even more pressure. But it's a collective now. It's not the case, like in the past where a manager says, "Oh, buy whoever you want and go out and do there." He's got a sporting director ahead of them. There's Michael Edwards sort of above Richard Hughes as well, and they've all put that squad together collectively. And so I think there needs to be responsibility, across the board really on, well, have they bought the right players? Have they bought players with this, this desire that you sort of want from Liverpool? And even if they are really good players, which I think they'll still show they are, is the balance of the team correct? We didn't get a centre half over the line. Whose sort of responsibility is that? Did we replace Luis Diaz? With everything that he brought, and so I don't think it's quite as straightforward as saying, well, you've spent all this money, so it's all kind of on you. Really, I don't think that's how they'll see it within the club. I think they'll see it as a collective responsibility to kind of sort this out. But like Sarah says, they could start by just showing a bit more fight on the pitch. And I think while you're not playing well, while it's taken a while to gel, I think supporters will forgive a little bit if you can see them, putting everything in. I went to the game on Saturday, and after the game, I went to the pub to do our post-match stuff, and I'm watching Man City v Newcastle, and you've got players throwing themselves in front of the ball on both sides, getting these big blocks in, and you're thinking, I can't remember seeing a Liverpool player do that all season. It's no wonder we're conceding so many goals and so many soft ones. Is that desire to put your body on the line, if you like, just isn't there. We've got players looking at 50-50s.
How does Slot do that then? How does Slot get that? Because Sarah talked about mentality. That's mentality, isn't it? Getting that into the players' minds to do that block, to put their bodies on the line. Is it up to him? Is it up to the players?
I think a little bit of both. There's players who are willing to do that. He's just not picking them at the moment, and so can he, take out some of the more naturally gifted footballers and bring in some guys who are going to sort of show that fight. Do you know what I'm hoping this Saturday is a bit of a wake up call, to be honest with you, because I think until this point it's been, we've had a tough run of fixtures and we've had some injuries and gel. There's no excuses for getting beat 3-0 at home to Nottingham Forest. They're a decent side, but they were 19th coming in. I'm hoping, Virgil spoke brilliantly after the game, but then he said, look, this is also just talk. You can't talk your way out of it. And so I'm hoping Saturday is a realisation that this is such a tough league. You can't just turn up and think, it's Forest at home, we're going to win. And I felt like they did a little bit there. You've got to win the right to play. And so I'm hoping I'm hoping Saturday is just a jolt for everyone, for the players, for the manager, and for the supporters a little bit as well, that we are in a bit of a fight and we need to show a bit more to get out of it.
Sarah, you nodded when John said that some players who do have that mentality and would put their body on the line just aren't getting picked at the moment. Which players could come in and do that just to change something?
Yeah, well, it's also some of the players that are being picked. So McAllister used to be that kind of player first in that midfield. So, the pivot with him and Gavin Birch really worked that season. But McAllister has not been on it at all this season. We talk about Mo Salah, like McAllister has been very, very poor. So he's not that kind of putting his body in the line, getting those crunching tackles in. Obviously, we've got Andy, but there must be something, wrong with his fitness. We know this because, he had an incredible game, in part for Scotland, an incredible result, and then wasn't picked. Was that more his body, or is it what he was talking about with Jota? There's a lot of emotion in that squad that clearly is not getting out, and this is where Klopp would have been the arm around the shoulder type manager and got that from them, right? And got them the help. Is Slot doing that, or is somebody else in the backroom staff doing that? And then you've got Connor Wood, obviously, but he's learning quickly, so he's the kind of put the body in the line, and also Van Dijk needs to be that person when the back four is as chaotic as it is right now. Van Dijk might need to change his game up a bit here, and truly be a leader on that pitch, because he's one of the first to let his head go down when a goal goes in, and then the rest of the team tends to follow that.
Would you take Klopp back right now if you're offered it, Sarah?
No, I don't. I don't think he would be the solution going backwards. I think Slot has it, but also he's very early on in his career, and nobody really talks about that. So he's learning, fast and making mistakes, but it's whether he's allowed to make any more. I mean, what will the club do if we lose midweek in the Champions League?
Yeah.
Because at the moment that's been our saving grace right now. But if the team doesn't, pull a result out there, then we talk about crisis, and I know that's thrown around a lot, but a Liverpool squad shouldn't be losing these amount of matches in a row and 2-3 nils in a row.
If you could have one player back, guys, from recent history, for your moment, it's difficult at the moment. I know who I would have back in your squad. Who would you guys like to have back in recent history? One player, if I could give you, back in your squad for the moment what you're in now.
I know who you're going to say. I know it already. Let's see. Go on then, John, you go first.
I mean, it depends when you say recent history. Can I have Steven Gerrard back? He's my answer to everything.
No. He's an old man.
They've got to still be playing. They've got to still be playing.
I mean, that's tough.
It's a good question, though, Tim.
In terms of still playing, there is times where we miss Trent in terms of his just ability to make something happen out of nothing. Obviously, he leaves under a bit of a cloud, but I think, there's games where you just need that bit of magic, and you need something to take you a goal up in a game. I think as well, Mo Salah would love to sort of have him, in terms of getting more out of him. So even though he's not the most popular man in L4 at the moment, I'll go for Trent.
Go on then, Sarah.
No question, Henderson. Look what he's done going into Brentford. He's a leader. He will give his absolutely die on that pitch for Liverpool. Yeah. And we don't have that at the moment, and we're seriously lacking it.
That was what you were going to say, wasn't it?
I would say Jordan Henderson, because of what you said earlier about the mentality and making others better. But I agree with John. You cannot replace quality like Trent Alexander-Arnold. But I think to make the group better, not only for match days, but every day at that training ground, I think Henderson, no stats can tell you what he gives to that squad.
Yeah, and he's flying for Brentford. A quick question to both of you here. Same question. We'll come to you first, Sarah. The poll that we're having on X today is, where will Liverpool finish? And there's 4 options: champions, top 4, top half, or bottom half. At the moment, I can tell you that top half has got 44%, top 4 36%. Sarah, where would you say after those 4 of those 4 options?
We have to be top 4. Nothing else is good enough. We have to be top 4.
I agree.
We have to be.
John?
I love the 5% who are still saying champions. God bless those people. I'm not quite with them, unfortunately, but I think they'll get top 4. I think they'll pull it together when it counts. But it'll be too late for a championship challenge, unfortunately.
Yeah, your next 3 games, by the way: West Ham away, Sunderland at home, and Leeds away. So maybe this form will start now. John, Sarah, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers.
Thank you. Bye.